Hey everybody, it's Bobby, CoolDaddySlickBreeze. Real quick, I want to tell you guys, you probably know what's going on if you watch this on the YouTube, but we are having some serious audio issues with our equipment. And so I just want to ask for your patience on this particular episode. You're going to see there's some parts at the end where we're going to have to like cut it off real quick because we lost some audio, but you should have enough of the meat of the episode to be able to enjoy it. So we appreciate your patience. We're working through trying to figure this out, what's going on with our equipment. And by next week, we should be good to go. All right, here's the episode. This episode of the Disc Golf Answer Man is brought to you by the new 2020 GBO fundraiser discs. Go to dynamicdiscs.com to check out the Dynamic Discs Lucid Metallic EMAC Truth, the Dynamic Discs Prime Burst Judge, Latitude 64's Opto Chameleon Explorer, and Westside Discs VIP Chameleon Sword. You can find these new releases, or you can find these new discs at the new release section at dynamicdiscs.com. Hey everybody, welcome to this episode. Blah, 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 blah.
Roll it back.
Roll it back. Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Disc Golf Answer Man. I am Bobby, CoolDaddySlickBreeze, and I have with me Robert Right Ear McCall.
That's nope.
Nope.
All
right, so
two functioning ears.
two functioning ears. All right, so if you're listening on the audio, you are benefiting from a stereo, but if you're on YouTube, you're only hearing out of the right ear. So we apologize for the audio technical difficulties. We will try to get it figured out, but we're going to roll with what we have for today.
Yeah, we are.
How are you doing today, Robert?
Man, hanging in there, you know.
It was a good weekend. The weather was nice, and today it's cold.
The weather was,
it
got
windy.
warm, but it was extremely windy. And I know you guys out there are like, it's Kansas, it's always windy. Not like this.
Yeah, not like this. This was very
windy. We had
windy.
gusts of, I heard over 50 miles an hour.
Now, Saturday, I did get a chance to get out and play Hammond Park. So I played a quick 9-hole of disc golf, and it was actually fun. I was like, I miss disc golf.
Yeah.
And then I played some pickleball. Yep. And I said, I like pickleball.
Yep.
What did you do? I speak to my sports that I play.
We did a little video where I threw some discs the other day. That was fun. Haven't thrown discs in a little while for the weather's sake and just, for taking a break's sake. That was fun. Whether you guys will see the video or not, we don't know yet. We'll see. And then also played some pickleball and cleaned up around the house. But now Shay's out of town on business right now, so who knows what's going to happen tonight.
Oh, wow.
It's going to get wild,
huh?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'll probably play pickleball, then go home and play video games. And probably go to sleep right after. What do you guys think? Pretty wild?
I think we should tell Shay before things get crazy.
Yeah. just report to her.
Yeah, just report.
It's a good idea.
Hey, Robert is playing video games and then he went right to bed.
Instantly going to sleep.
At a reasonable time.
I think you should cut your business trip short and come home. So yeah, good weekend. Hopefully you guys got out and got to play some disc golf on the warm weekend that it was at your area of the planet. So we're going to hop right into the questions and just let you know that we're trying out a new format. We're trying out recording this on YouTube a little earlier. But what we're going to do is we're going to bring back by popular demand the after show. In the after show, we'll talk about our Skip Ace picks when we have that. And remember, the Skip Ace, the fantasy disc golf, is your chance to win some disc golf goodies. And then in the after show is our opportunity to talk about whatever we want to talk about. It might be a little bit disc golf. It might be some pickleball. It could be some taco talk. It could be whatever's happening, the latest in disc golf news or other news. But it's our way to just kind of relax and have a good time while we're on the mic. Also, we still have the Disc Golf Hot Take, so make sure you are subscribed on your favorite podcast app so that you never miss an episode of all the good stuff we put out. In fact, I just put out a question of the month with Chris Clemens asking about his putting routine that went out yesterday, and I have 3 more coming out for the next 3 Mondays, so make sure you are subscribed. All right, so Anthony says we have quite a few questions and speak pipe questions. Let's get crazy and let's start with the speak pipe.
What?
Is that crazy?
That's crazy.
We did have a super chat before.
Oh, yeah,
by the way. Michael sent in 1,000 Czech koruna.
Nice.
So thank you so much, Michael. We appreciate that. And then there was one other $1.99 super chat. It was about audio and the issues that we were having.
That should pay for new equipment.
Said audio's. Jordan Foss said audio's hard. This should help.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
It did. It got us from 0 to 1.
Yeah. All right. So what do we got for Speak Pipe?
The first one we've got here is from Benjamin Pesonen.
That was very good, actually.
Thank you.
Hello, Disc Golf Answerman. This is Benjamin Pesonen from Finland.
Nailed it.
And today I have a kind of hot take kind of question. It's about the pars and the whole general easiness of quote-unquote championship level courses. My example is based on, obviously, on Las Vegas Challenge that took place last weekend. I just think that that's way too easy of a course for the level of play at the MPO at the moment. I don't know what's your take on that, but I think it's way, way, way too easy because there are these holes like the one Garrett Gurthie aced. I'm not taking anything away from Garrett Gurthie. That was amazing ace, but I don't think it's an albatross. And the whole card played like overall 9 under from that hole because there was like 3 eagles and 1 albatross, and that's just way too easy. So what is your guys' thoughts? Should these courses be way more difficult for this level of play? That's just my thought. What's your opinion?
Well, I mean, the thing is that we can probably argue all day about whether something's easy or hard based on our skill level, based on what we saw. I mean, I've seen people say the Emporia Country Club is easy because all the only thing they saw of the Emporia Country Club was video. And, you know, I want to tell you here now that unless you play the country club, you don't realize how challenging of a course it is. Now, and it may not be a wooded course like a lot of people scream that we need more of, but it's still a very challenging course for top players. Now, how did that translate over to the Vegas? I remember I've only been there two times. I don't remember it being a super hard course, but I didn't play it. So did you play?
I've never played there, but there's plenty of danger out there. To say that it's an easy course is inaccurate. And I don't think that's what Benjamin is saying. I think he's saying that relative to the skill of the field there, it's an easy course. Now, I saw plenty of people not play well there and find OB and water and rollaways from the baskets on hills and around greens and bunkers and stuff. And so I do think I'm not sure it's as entertaining as another course or two that has a little bit more variety, but considering the land that Las Vegas, like the Las Vegas Challenge tournament directors have to work with, I think they do a good job. I would call the ace that Garrett Gurthie hit, I would probably call it just an ace and probably not an albatross based on the difficulty of the field. But if you put any other disc golfers on the planet out there, not a lot of people are getting 2s on that. I mean, nobody's getting a 1 unless they just get super duper lucky, but not a lot of people are getting 2s. They're laying up short of the green and then going over, or they're trying to throw it as hard as they can and getting in the bunkers more often than not. And so relative to the skill of the field, probably a little easier than some of the other tournaments they'll play this year, but still a difficult course. So anyway, that's it.
All right, our first question on the forum is from Sean. What is up, my friends? I've been playing disc golf a ton for the past 2 years, throwing the best plastic in the world made by Latitude 64. I'm finally feeling like I am ready to play my first tournament, and there's an amateur match play bracket near me. I know this is different than a normal tournament. However, I would love to try it out. What do you guys think about doing an AM match play bracket as my first tournament? Thank you for making my Tuesday so much fun and all the other days. Proud to throw the best discs in the world. Keep it real and keep it groovy, homies.
I don't think it's a bad idea to have that be your first official tournament.
As long as you know the feel is going to be a little different.
Because you're competing against a person rather than the course. Now, there's still personal strategy that comes into it. All right, so if we go out to the disc golf course and Bobby and I are playing against one another, there will be some holes that I'll be able to reach that he won't be able to. Yeah. There'll be some holes that I'll be able to reach that he won't be able to, but that doesn't mean that he should change his game plan and now all of a sudden try to reach those holes. He still kind of has to stick to his strengths and hope that on those holes, either I don't execute well or we push or something like that, and play to the holes where he has an advantage. That the same goes for any match play event that you play in. Just because your opponent has done something, unless it's really late in the round where you don't have a choice but to run this hole or try and throw a shot in for 2 or something like that, for the most part, you should just stick to your game plan, and most of the time that's going to be good enough to compete with people that you'll play with.
Excellent. Next one comes from Nick. He has a question about how much time to schedule for practice.
Okay.
I currently max out my drives at about 300 feet, and my goal is to eventually be able to hit 400. I've been trying to find as much time as possible to work on my form and field practice. I have not seen much improvement at the rate I'm going, which is about an hour, 2 days a week. Am I practicing too few and too far between to make much progress? How much time for a week would I need to dedicate to field work to start seeing some improvement?
It's different for every person, Nick. There are some people who can just go out and do it and just get what they need and be done and stay sharp. And then there are some people who just need a little bit more time. I would say the way that you can make the most out of the hours that you spend doing field work is to video yourself and then go back and watch and see if you're gaining distance, if you're gaining accuracy and control, and compare that to what your form looks like and what changes you're making. Because even if just because you practice for an hour doesn't mean you're getting better, right? It means you're repeating what you're doing. If you want to get better, you need to practice correctly, right? So you need to be practicing proper form and technique. You need to be practicing your brace and your weight shift and your reach back and all those things. Just because you're throwing doesn't necessarily mean you're getting better. So video yourself, see what things you can pick up on that you need to work on. That's going to help you more than just practicing more time. Practicing more efficiently will help you more than just being out there for several hours.
What if for 5 hours I watch a bunch of people throw really good?
Doesn't help that much.
You're gonna
Oh, it
have
doesn't
a
help?
real good 5 hours.
I mean, you will have enjoyed your 5 hours probably,
Oh, okay.
but
Dang it.
it probably won't help your disc golf.
I heard a quote this morning on a podcast, and I thought that maybe
if you
apply
just
here.
listen to podcasts.
If you just listen, and you will know. He says, and it's kind of a version of things that people say, but I thought it was cool. He says, "Do what others don't, so you can be what others won't."
Mm.
Dang.
Get out there and practice, boy.
Yeah, correctly.
Nick. All right, next one comes from Nathan. Coverage into the future. What is that? How's that, Conan?
In the year 2000.
In the year 2000.
Yeah. How's that? That's closer than most of your musical recreations.
That's because I can get
Kudos.
high notes. Do you think, as the current pros we know and love and support grow older, that there might be an increase in the interest of Masters 40 and above coverage in the future of the sport? In the year 2000. Okay, so that's an interesting.
I'm prepared to keep it real, Nathan, but go ahead.
That is an interesting perspective or angle or thought. If some of these, we thought that was kind of our thinking when Felberg was playing some Masters and Avery Jenkins was playing some Masters, and I can't remember who else. Kind of all of a sudden, I know Eric was in that pool of people. I think some interest. However, what I think will happen is as these top names shift over into Masters, there'll be some interest. But guess what's going to happen in the younger field? There's going to be some younger players that are coming in that are going to make what these people going into Masters, what they're accomplishing, obsolete. And so the fresh new talent is going to be there, and I have a feeling that the attention is going to be skewed toward them.
Yep.
I mean, you pretty much said what I was.
Oh, sorry.
No, I agree with you that if you are into disc golf right now, there's a chance that you've only really watched tournaments that Paul Macbeth has competed in and dominated, right? Or at least been a part of, right? But I mean, years before that, Ken Climo was that, Avery was that, Barry was that, Feldberg was that.
Feldberg
I mean,
was
that was kind of that regime. Now they're playing in Masters, and honestly, well, I mean, Feldberg played Open at Memorial. I think he played pretty well. I think he had to drop the last round because of injury or sickness or something. But he can hang for sure. But once players move up to MA40, people are still interested in them. You just don't see nearly as much coverage,
Right.
because it's not the top level anymore. And in all actuality, I think that those guys could even play better than the MPO field, and they still wouldn't get the coverage that they deserved if that were the case. I don't think that's the case, but even if that happened, if they were putting up 14 under, 15 under a lot, you would still see the MPO field more than you would see the MP40 field. That's not the case, but if it was, I think that would be true.
All right, so let's hop on over to.
I have 2 super chats.
Oh yeah,
one from Crazy DX. He says 150 people watching and only 18 likes. Come on, people! Since then, we've gained 17 more. So thank you. Thank you for the $2 Canadian, and then $5 from Diggin' DG. He says saying thanks to Danny for breaking down my form and pointing out some stuff I missed completely. That's another thing that you can do. I believe it was Nick who asked a question about practice. If you want to submit your form to be reviewed by Danny, you can email us at dgamform@gmail.com. Danny will go through, check that out for you, and send over some tips for you. That's actually a super good suggestion for you. So.
Yeah, you've been posting them out on our Facebook group, the results or at least his feedback on those. So make sure you join our Disc Golf Answerman Facebook group to take part in that. Anthony,
Yes.
give us a speak pipe.
This one is coming from Shay.
What's up, Bobby? Cool Daddy Slick. Never do another hot take. Breeze. Robert,
Roasted.
situational pirate speak. McCall.
Nice. That's me.
And Eric,
Situational.
wishing he was on his boat. McCabe.
He may
Shay from
no,
Philly with a form question. When it comes to putters and mids, I only throw them with a fan grip. Don't recall how I got to it, but it just feels comfortable and controlled. My question is, do you think learning a modified or even power grip for these discs would increase my range with them? And in your experience, is there a significant sacrifice of accuracy using those grips? Thanks for the info, and as always, bye.
I don't like throwing power grips for anything but high speed or like fairway drivers and distance drivers. That's personal. Some people, like I've heard Oakley say that he'll power grip a putter if he really wants to get into it. No, thank you. I don't like that at all. It works for him. But if I'm throwing, and maybe I'm weird in this, but if I'm throwing a putter or a mid-range, I'm throwing it fan grip, plain and simple. If I'm throwing a fairway driver or a distance driver, I'm throwing it power grip. That's it.
Why?
I like the control that comes with a fan grip, and the rim is smaller, so it just feels more comfortable to do it. I've tried kind of like control gripping a fairway driver, and I just don't like how it feels at all.
I don't see how people have different grips. I mean, it's just like when I grab it. This is just what I naturally how I grab it.
But it's your hand. Like everyone else, everyone has different size hands.
True.
And
Is that how you throw your
fingers.
putters too, Bobby? With a power grip? Like grab one of those pures. How do you hold that?
Like if I'm going to throw it or putt.
Yeah, if you're gonna
Gonna
throw,
throw it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Wow. What should I be doing different?
I grab.
So I do.
Sorry if you're listening to audio
Yeah.
and you can't see this, but this is how I throw my putters.
Why do you
Because I have a little bit more control over
and
the
that's
flight
more
plate.
of a fan grip, right? Or
This is
kind
more.
of
This is more of like a pinch control grip. This is when I say fan grip. This is what I mean.
okay.
If I do this, I feel like I'm not controlling hardly any of the disc, right? Because look how close to the rim my thumb is, and all of my fingers are very close to the edge of the rim. That's for you YouTubers. This is what that looks like. When I throw kind of more of a pinch control grip, I'm not gripping the underside of the rim so hard as I am spreading out a little bit on the flight plate. That gives me a little bit more
See,
control.
I feel like as soon as I let go, or right before the let go point, I'm going to lose control of it.
You won't.
I've heard people call what Robert is talking about the stack grip. as
Stack
well
grip, yeah,
for
it's
audio.
That's kind of what mine is.
The way I had it was my pinky was on the rim, my neck. What's that finger? That's not your index finger. Is that your index finger?
That's your ring finger.
My ring finger is on top of my pinky finger, and then the index finger is more fanned
Middle.
out, and then the pointy finger is closer to, not quite close to the rim, like that.
You just held up your middle finger,
your
not
middle
not
finger,
in
yes.
an offensive way to the audience, but then said index finger.
Oh, what's the index finger?
This is your index.
Pointer
Oh.
finger, yeah.
Then what's my middle finger? Just my middle finger?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was called something else. I'm sorry.
I'm perplexed by your confusion on names of fingers.
Well, so here's the
I thought
thing.
that was pretty universal.
About 3 years ago, I like
Lost all
nonstop.
my fingers.
I got hit in the head really hard.
And then I was like, what are these?
Up until 3 years ago, I had constantly talked about in the naming structure of fingers. About 3 years ago, I stopped, so I must have forgotten.
What?
My point being is I don't talk much about fingers, so
Your
I
entire
didn't
life,
know.
this was like a common conversation that
This
you
is-
had.
That's my point.
And then 3
I did not
years
talk.
ago, you just said,
Right.
nah. it's
That's my
gone.
point. My point was I don't talk about the naming of fingers very often. I know the pinky. I know the ring finger. I know the pointer.
I don't talk about the names of letters very often, but that doesn't mean I forget them.
You say letters all the time, though.
No, I say words all the time.
I'm trying to say face.
I say words all the time.
All right. So,
Okay, let's do it.
where were we at?
We should move on to the next question.
Yes. Let's move on to the next question.
Anyway, all that to say, I would stick to, for me, I like the fan grip for slower discs,
Yes.
power grip, or as close to it as I
Yeah.
can for faster discs. Is that what you do too, Anthony?
Yeah. The only thing I throw with like a fan stacked whatever grip is my putters. And it's exactly for his second point. He said, is there a loss of control or accuracy? Which for me, there
For me,
definitely
yes.
is.
Yeah.
And the added benefit of what you might get 5 or 10 feet farther at that point, just throw a mid range. So yeah, I definitely notice less accuracy with a power grip.
I'm with you on that.
So, how do you, when you tell someone new, let's say you're taking someone new out to the park, and they're like, "Well, how do I hold the disc?" What do you say? Do you just show them the power grip and you say, "This is how I do it," or do you just say, "Hey, just grab it naturally and see"?
I
what
don't
happens?"
even really talk about grip unless I see a huge problem with it, because most people comfortably grab the disc the first few
Yeah,
times.
That's what I thought.
But if they have their finger out on the rim like this, like on the outside of the
Right,
rim,
right,
then that's
right.
trouble, because you're creating now a new release point that's not going to be as consistent
Right.
as
Okay,
something
cool.
like
'Cause
that.
that's what I did. Yeah, that's what I do. I tell them just grab it and yeah.
Yeah. I think there's bigger fish to fry at the beginning than
Yeah,
how they're
100%.
holding it.
Rising Am says fingers. Why do you do that?
How do you do that? All right, what do we got next? Let's go back to our Google Forms. This one is from Zach. Hey, Disc Golf fam, not sure about the ruling on this. I was playing on a card where a player's throw went down into a cluster of bushes and couldn't be found. The player went to throw from his last lie while we kept looking. We found his disc, but it was after he threw his shot from the previous lie. My card mate said he could throw from his lost disc without penalty. What? Because he hasn't thrown his next shot. Is this the correct ruling? Thanks and keep up. Wait, I thought he said they did throw it.
Yeah.
The player went to throw from his last lie while he kept looking.
Maybe he means his
We
next
found
throw.
his disc, but it was
after?
after he threw his shot from the previous lie. My cardmate said he could throw from his lost disc without penalty because he hadn't thrown his next shot.
So I think what he's saying is, we'll say he threw his tee shot into the bush,
Right.
couldn't find it.
Right?
Let me switch back to Robert. Threw his tee shot in the bush, couldn't find it. They said, "Oh, here, you just get a redo." And so he redid that shot. And so since he hadn't thrown his next shot, he hadn't played from that hypothetical lie. I think they're just misunderstanding the rules because
Right.
he definitely did throw his next shot
Right.
already. He should have, if it was a tee shot, he should be reteeing throwing 3.
Right.
And if you find the disc cool, now you can use it again and just play from your second
Yeah, it's
makeup drive.
it's exactly right. It's a misunderstanding of the rule.
Yeah.
Okay, so unless you verbally abandon your throw and say I am reteeing or throwing from my previous lie, you
have
have
to say it with a certain inflection.
uh-huh.
I give up.
Yeah.
Like that.
I declare bankruptcy. You can't just say the word bankruptcy and all your problems go. But I didn't say it. I declared it. No, this okay. Once you've thrown your shot, it goes into these bushes, and you say, "You know what? I'm going to abandon my shot." Then you can throw from your previous lie with a 1-shot penalty. So you'd be throwing. If that was your tee shot, you'd be throwing 3.
Yeah.
But if you aren't sure where the disc is, once everyone arrives to where you think it is and starts looking, you begin a 3-minute timer. Once that 3-minute timer is up, then it's declared a lost disc, and you have to throw from your previous lie. Let's say that you say, timer goes off and you start walking back toward the tee, and someone's like, "Oh, I found your disc." After the timer went off, too bad, so sad. The disc was already lost because the 3 minutes had passed. So then you would be throwing from your previous lie. Just because you find the disc after you throw your next shot doesn't mean that you get to play from there. That disc is null and void at that point.
Okay, so Robert, I got a question.
Uh-oh.
Let's say you throw it, we're at Peter Pan, I throw it in the water, we can see it, we're trying to get it, it gets caught up in the mud as we're trying to scoop it out of the pond or whatever.
Right. And that takes longer than 3 minutes?
Yeah. Would it technically count then as going OB and playing it where we think it last went out? Or is it still a lost disc because...
Great question. So the exception to the rule is if it goes out of bounds. And water is a perfect one where, say it's really muddy water. We all kind of watch the disc go over the shore into the water. We see it hit the water. You don't play that as a lost disc because like you got a pretty good idea where it is. So you can go approximate the spot and say, this is where we think it went out of bounds. Card agrees on it, and you throw your third from there instead of from the tee box. If you're trying to fish it out of the water and it takes longer than 3 minutes, you haven't lost the disc. The disc is in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it. Just because you can't get it doesn't mean you don't know where it is. This is if you can't locate the disc. That's when the lost disc rule comes into effect.
Perfect.
Got it?
Jeez.
All right, next one is
Jeff?
from Josh, a.k.a. JT. Hey, guys, it's yo boy JT in the questionnaire. My $1 million question has to do with power and accuracy.
Okay.
I cannot grasp the concept of throwing with power and being accurate. It seems that if I want to be accurate with my throw, I have to cut down my strength by 50%. Are there any tips or exercises that you recommend in order to be accurate and throw with full strength? Also, I can't throw far in general. I probably get around 2 to 250 in feet. I said that kind of wrong. Around 200.
I was going to say, it says 200 to 250 feet.
He typed it.
I got ahead of myself. I got ahead of myself. Still working.
Sometimes I use my index finger primarily to throw.
Oh, I'm about to use my
fair, true.
Still working on that. Anyways, thank you for your help and continue with all the positive vibes.
JT, thanks for the question, man. You are our boy, so we appreciate that.
Yes, thanks.
When you are talking about using 50% of your strength, I would be curious to see what your throws look like, because I think a lot of people confuse strength and power with acceleration. Acceleration is the most important part of getting spin on the disc, of getting power and I mean speed on the disc. Acceleration is the most important part. So there are a lot of people who think, especially out of the box, that if I run really fast up to the tee box and I get my arms moving super fast and I flex all my muscles as I get ready to throw, I was only using half of them just right there.
Oh,
I know you can't even imagine what 100%. Anyway,
we want your shirt to stay on.
That's right. I wore loose clothing for that purpose today. But I think a lot of people think that if you tense up and flex every muscle and throw as hard as you can, that's going to be full power. And that's just not true. When you're too tense, when you throw a shot, a lot of times you're not going to be able to accelerate. You're going to start the throw fast and finish the throw fast. And that doesn't give you any time to accelerate. So you're never going to quite reach the potential as something like the disc golf throw is kind of like a whip, right? It starts slow. And once you get to the end, it comes through really quickly and kind of pops at the end. That's what gets you your spin and that power. So instead of thinking of disc golf in terms of strength, you really want to think of it in terms of acceleration. The farther that you reach back, you kind of start slow and then finish the throw quickly. That's going to get you more distance than trying to muscle through a shot. Ideally you want to be loose when you throw a disc golf shot. I mean, go watch, Bradley Williams, Paul Macbeth,
me,
Bobby.
Lots of coverage of Bobby rounds up.
Yeah, but when they're walking up to theirs, or actually, here's a perfect example. Go watch Tristan Tanner throw from Las Vegas Challenge. Tristan can throw the disc over 600 feet. He's got a forehand that's probably upwards of 450, which is just insane to me. And he walks up to a shot like he doesn't really jog up. He doesn't take a slow step and a couple fast steps. He walks up and then just explodes.
It's infuriating.
Yeah.
Just like a little bit like,
Yeah.
how?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
not fair.
Yeah, you're a jerk, Tristan. He's not. He's a super nice guy. Extremely nice guy. So it really is more about acceleration than it is about strength and power. Like, those things come with being loose and allowing your muscles to do what they need to do. There you go.
What would you say for someone that may have the opposite problem? If they feel like they can only throw accurately when they're throwing hard, if they need work on
Sure.
like reducing it.
Good question. For somebody like that, you want to break things down and make sure that they know that they can still follow through on a shot without throwing at full speed, right? So we've seen. I mean, Tristan talked about that too. He said, I could throw over 600 feet before I could throw 200 feet accurately, because he was just set up to throw power shots. Like, that's what he practiced all the time. So when you're working on touch shots, one of the things that you can do is shorten your reach back just a little bit, because then you're not having quite as far to accelerate. But that also means that you don't have to make the disc travel as far. You can stay a little bit more compact. That gives you a little bit more accuracy as well. And I would just start with standstills and work on slow to accelerating, but not as fast as you can, and still following through. It's I think that's the best way to work on it.
Excellent. All right. We want to congratulate our first bracket winner in the 2020 United States Amateur Match Play Singles season. Daniel McDonald in Virginia.
That boy, Daniel.
Has won. Guys, Disc Golf Match Play is underway. Well, make sure you check out discgolfmatchplay.com to figure out where you can play. I was looking for, what are the discs? Remind me of the disc. I was hoping I could
Fusion
find
Burst Raider.
Fusion Burst Raider.
I remember that one for sure.
And
And
then,
then it's some sort of Vandal, isn't it?
yes, I know the Vandal's part of it.
Oh, that's right.
That's the player pack. That's right.
Yeah.
Will you say that again, Danny? Retro Moonshine Pure is the player pack discs, and then tournament directors can get Vandals. I think they're Moonshine.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Moonshine Vandals to sell, whether it's to competitors or in their local area, to raise money for their event.
Right. So $45 gets you into your local qualifying bracket. And once you move up, you can work your way up into the championships, which will take place here in Emporia, Kansas, June 26 through 28, where you get your chance to compete for first place, which is 18 veteran baskets and 18 T signs, and also discs for life, or 10 years of discs, but disc for life sounds better. Basically just as many discs as you can dream of. That's for first place, a $14,000 value plus a trip out to Emporia, Kansas to have a little fun with us here in Emporia and be part of the competition. So
Heck yeah.
discgolfmatchplay.com. Find a bracket near you and get out there and play and win.
Can I go back to the previous question super fast before we go on? So Mr. Drew said, that's me. I can hit a 300 plus line, but a 150 plus upshot is dangerous. Another thing that you can do is play catch with a disc golf disc, specifically a putter or something like that. Or even like
The bite.
A great one. Yeah, the bite, or I was going to say the beetle.
Beetle,
either
yeah.
one of those. They're going to improve your touch, so that if you're just playing catch, you're only trying to get the disc to the person that you're playing catch with. You don't have to throw it hard, but those discs are going to wobble offline if you throw them poorly. Those will help teach you some upshot form and stuff like that.
Excellent.
Let's keep it going.
Let's go to a speak pipe.
This one is from Ryan.
Hey guys, how you doing? I have
Fine.
a weird question for you today. I was playing around with one of my friends over the weekend, and when we were playing, there's these two holes at this course that are perpendicular. So he threw his tee shot, and then there was a group behind us that threw their tee shot, and the two discs ended up hitting each other. So we were just playing a casual round, so I was like, oh, just re-tee. But like in a tournament setting, what would the ruling be on that? Would like both of them just play where it lies, and you're just pretty much screwed because somebody else hit your disc in the flight, or what? Do you re-tee? Thanks for answering my question. Have a good day.
My understanding is that's just, it is what it is.
Too bad, so sad.
It is.
To quote Ron Washington of the of the Texas Rangers.
Uh-huh.
That the way baseball go. This was several years ago, but was still one of my favorite quotes.
Yes.
That the way baseball go.
So yeah, it should be just like if all of a sudden the wind made a big branch go in front of your disc. I mean, that's just what happens. So yeah, they would hit, and then wherever they landed, that's where their lie is, and that's where they play from.
The only exception to that would be if
I threw it at you.
Well, if one of the discs was thrown intentionally to try and hit the other one, because it does come down to intent. Otherwise, it just happened to happen.
Yeah. All right, let's go with roll with that speak pipe.
This one's from
Roll that beautiful bean footage. Oh, that's
Sean.
Hey, Disc Golf Answer Man. This is Sean from New Jersey. So I had a quick question. So I score in I'm an MA3 player, and I score in normally the bottom. I say 90% of the time I score in the bottom half of the rankings every tournament. But I made some adjustments. I put a lot of work in this winter. I made some adjustments to my game, and I think by the end of the 2020 season, I'll be a solid middle of the way, hopefully competitive MA2 player. A lot of my buddies have moved up to MA2 in the beginning of this season, and they've been telling me to do so. And even though I'm not competitive in that division yet, the argument is they seem to think that if I play with better people, I'll become better. And even though I won't be a competitive player in that division, just playing in that division around better people will just make me a better player. And although, the argument is, should I do it or should I not do it because I'm not at that level yet, but it might help me as a player. So I'm curious what you guys' thoughts on it were, and if you think it's a smart idea or not. So thank you very much for your time, and keep it real.
Yeah, I mean, if the question is, should I play with better players than me to get better? I think if you ask anybody in just about any sport, that's I don't want to say technique, but that's always going to be the advice. Play with
a tactic.
Yeah, that's a play with people that are better than you. For one, I would think to push you, and for two, so you can learn, watch and learn and observe. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else to really say about that.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
And just because you play in MA2 for one tournament doesn't mean that you have to forever. So if you want to try it out and just see how it goes, see if it's helpful to you for one tournament, two tournaments, three tournaments, I think it's worth a shot. But across the board, I say, yeah, playing with better players helps you to see what's possible. Before I started playing in Open, I thought like the scores that I was shooting that's about as good as it goes unless you just get really lucky. And then I watched people torch courses that I was playing. And I was like, okay, so it can be better than this. You know what I mean? So yeah, playing with better players, that always is going to make you more aware of what you could be better at.
Now, if you do play the MA2 and you play terrible, don't just do it one time and think that you're done. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you don't want to.
Right.
Yeah, you want to play it a few times to really kind of give it a go. I give it a go, I guess.
Yeah, Chaser said you become better if you learn, and that's true. Just because you play with better players doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get better. But if you glean what you can from them, I mean, you probably don't want to ask them about it during the round specifically, but just as you watch them play, as you watch their technique and their strategy, that's going to help.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I could go and play rounds with Paul Macbeth, Ricky, whatever. Watching them throw 500-foot hyzers, that's not the shot for me. It's not about, okay, well, they threw this disc on this line, so I need to throw that disc on that line. It's about everything except that. Yeah.
Like you can watch their biomechanics and say, well, this is something I could do to gain more distance. This is a line I hadn't considered, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, next one comes from Tanner. I recently played in a tournament round that was very much a tale of two halves. My first 9 holes felt fantastic and everything was firing on all cylinders. On hole 10, there was about a 30-minute backup. After this, my back 9 holes were awful. I started missing simple shots that I normally make and could not catch a break to save my life. The main reasons I can think of are that I was tired from sitting around and no longer had the adrenaline or mental momentum that I had on the front half of the course. How do you guys suggest to prevent this from happening? My first thing is, I don't know your physical conditioning, Tanner, but doing things other than disc golf that will give you better physical conditioning might help. I mean, if you think about it, you're tense. If it's a tournament, he said, tournament. It's tense situation. You're thinking, you're figuring things out. You're throwing a lot. By the 9th, 10th, 12th hole, your body might be feeling it and might be tired. Some of the things you might not think about as well that isn't so glorious is, did you drink enough water? By the 10th or 11th hole, if you're not staying hydrated, your body's going to suffer. Not like you're not going to like fall over because you might be dehydrated, but you're not going to perform at your peak level because your body is trying to hold back to maintain itself. So that's something definitely to think about.
For sure. And it's always hard to come off of like a flow state. You know, when people talk about being in flow in golf and disc golf, it seems like you're in the zone, right? When you're not thinking, you're just throwing, you're executing every shot, everything feels good. It's hard to come off of that because it seems like the first time that you mess up, it kind of wakes you up and you're like, oh, dang it. You know, I'm not as great, or I'm not playing as great as I thought I was. But in all actuality, you've already had 9 great holes. So the best thing that you can do is coming into that 10th hole, if you have a backup, don't try and stay like super intently focused for that whole half an hour because it's just not possible. You're going to exhaust yourself and just think about your shot until you finally get up to it. Now you've put so much more pressure on that shot than a normal tee shot where you walk up and think about it for, 20 seconds and throw it. So one thing I would do is just relax, enjoy yourself. Make sure you're staying loose because physically, you don't want to get tight. You want to remain limber, loose. Like you want to stay warm. But mentally, man, when I get to backups, I just chat with the guys on my card, hang out. I'm not really talking or thinking about disc golf because I don't want it to be too tense by the time I'm ready to throw again. That's what I'd say. After that, even if you throw a bad shot, there's almost no shot that is like you totally can't recover from. That is in such a terrible spot that your round is over and you will not compete in the tournament anymore. Not a one single shot can do that. Because at, let's say, absolute worst case scenario, I've watched this happen. You hit first available tree and it kicks so far into the woods left that you can't even play from there. It would take more than 2 shots to get back to the fairway. So you just have to re-tee. Okay, you're throwing 3. So maybe you bogey the hole normally and you take a 6 and other people take a 2. Up until that point, I'd be willing to bet that you played 3 to 4 strokes better than some other people on your card. So one shot is not going to end your round. Once you throw it, you just need to go throw your next. Hang in there.
Gotcha. Am Rising Disc Golf has a question on YouTube.
Rising Am.
Film the first of our Chain Gang RV crew. So they have a flinging.
You're asking the wrong person, buddy.
Flying flingers. Anyway, they're doing an event out at Winfield Camp.
They're saying the sound is gone, but everything still looks fine here. Now it's back. Okay,
we're good.
Continue.
So if you've been following along on the YouTubes, you know that I did it. We're doing a series with Eric McCall where he's designing a course out at Winfield, Kansas, the farm at Quail Valley. So they're having an event flinging through the farm at Quail Valley. That's where our Chain Gang RV guys. This is another RV. Well, the RV we've had, but here locally within I'm not sure the radius, but within closer to Emporia, they're going to be traveling and doing events. Well, this is going to be their first one. So it's kind of a first one for the Chain Gang. First event out at the farm at Quail Valley. It's going to be a what do you call it when you first do something?
An inaugural, like a ribbon cutting.
Ribbon cutting. They're going to do a ribbon cutting ceremony for the course. I'll be down there filming some of the tournament. Not going to do tournament covers, but going to film some of the tournament because it'll be the final episode of our Winfield, Kansas course design series. So make sure you watch that on YouTube. So thanks for that question, Rising Am Rising Phoenix. Next question comes from
I'm about it.
Next question comes from Tim. This is about tourney fees. I was going to say tourney peas. When you got to pee in the middle of a tournament, where do you go? Not the question.
Oh, to the bathroom.
Tourney peas.
I'm a
verbal trademark.
I'm a third-year player, MA50 /
Go ahead.
MA50 / MA2, and a local business wants to cover my tourney fees. So the question is, if the local business Crafty Ales and Lagers, best beer around. Oh, he got a little plug in there.
Nice. Good advertising.
Pays my entry fees. Do I still have the amateur status?
Yes.
Yes. You become a pro status when you accept cash from the tournament. I don't think it has anything to do with sponsorship, correct?
That's correct.
That's correct. All right. Next one comes from Damon. When approaching a shot that requires the disc to finish to the right, I'm a right-handed player. What makes the decision between throwing a forehand versus a backhand hyzer?
Backhand and hyzer.
Backhand and hyzer.
Makes a big difference.
Yes, it does.
The biggest thing for me is if there's no ceiling limitations, then I'll most of the time throw a backhand just because that's more comfortable for me. However, there are a lot of people who are more comfortable with a forehand in that situation, so that's good. I'd say the biggest thing to think about would be the slope of where you're trying to land the disc. If it's really sloping super far away, you might want to throw something right-hand, backhand, and hyzer that has a little bit of stability, so it kind of works back into the slope that you're trying to throw into. If you throw a forehand and it happens to catch and just match that slope, then it's a goner. It's way down the hill. And then if there are ceiling limitations, it's easier to throw a forehand a little bit lower than it is an anhyzer that works to the right the whole way. So those are the things that I take into consideration: the ceiling and the slope. Also the wind, by the way. If it's a really windy situation, I'm a little bit more comfortable throwing a very overstable disc on forehand than like a moderately understable disc on a backhand.
Cool. What do we got left for Speak Pipe?
Speak Pipe.
We've got a few left. We want to.
Let's do one more
G?
Speak Pipe.
G.
What up, G?
What is up, DGAM family? I hope you've missed my beautiful voice. This is G calling from rainy Vancouver, British Columbia. I'm coming at you today with 2 questions. First question is, I was really impressed by the Disc Golf Pro Tour's live coverage of the Memorial, high quality stuff. Thinking about having a viewing party for the GBO. Do you think you guys will be producing similar live coverage whatsoever? That's my first question. You can pause right there.
Pause.
We intend to have
very
bad live coverage.
We're going. The iPhone has an excellent camera. They've just improved their camera.
We're going no gimbals.
Look at how steady Bobby's hand is too.
Look,
thing doesn't move.
We intend to have very good live coverage.
We intend to have very good live coverage, and we will be using the same production company that the Disc Golf Pro Tour has been using. So,
and Johnny V is going to be switching. Yeah, running the show.
Oh, switching. I'm like, switching what?
And then Terry Miller, he's going to be here too.
Tear Bear. Although Johnny V's not going to be able to be here.
Yeah, he's not going to be in
stinks.
town. Although he did say in the chat he's not going to be here. That means he won't lick as many people. That's what he said. So all of you are safer now. That's what he said.
That sounds like a story that needs to be told. I know, but it would be cool to do the podcast, the Smashbox v Disc Golf Answer Man.
Run the live.
We'll just have to do half Smashbox for that one.
Week.
So just an hour and a half.
Super weak.
Yeah,
True.
We'll have to have Terry on here and talk about the podcast. So yes, we have all.
I like this live coverage, 1 ear audio only. We can take a joke, Andy. It hurts, but we can handle it.
Yes, we have all the people coming to do all the filming and the lives and the post productions and everything.
Yes. Okay. Second half of the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
And second question is about the 30-second rule. When you pull up to the tee, you have 30 seconds after you clear all the shrubbage and all those things. Then you have to throw within 30 seconds. Now, I had a player this last weekend at the tournament trying to call me out on the 30-second rule. Again, I wasn't timing it. They weren't timing it. But my question for you is, yes, you get that first warning. But if they don't actually time it on their phone, right? They're just going by guess. It could have been 35 seconds. It could have been 25 seconds. If they don't actually time it on their phone, can they actually give me a violation for that? I'd like to know if there's no proof, can they give me a violation? Thanks for time, guys. Keep doing you.
I would think that's when it's on you to say, time me. There's a guy, I believe it was in Oklahoma. I think he's in Oklahoma, either Oklahoma or Texas, but he knew he took a long time.
Kansas.
Is it here in Kansas?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why did I think it was Oklahoma?
I don't know, but we're definitely talking about the same person. But go ahead.
That he has a watch in his, he has
Yes.
something, because he knows, okay, then I got it mixed up. He knows that he takes a long time, and he has been called out on it before. And so as soon as someone says, dude, 30 seconds, he will pull out his watch and say, okay, time me. And my understanding is every time
he's always at
he's
like
under
28.
38 seconds.
Yeah.
He is under the 38 seconds. And so,
Yeah.
so
Now,
yeah.
I'll say before he hands the stopwatch to somebody, I've definitely seen him take longer. 100%.
Oh, so he
just from watching video. But
that makes sense.
But here's the thing, like, unless you get warned on it, it might as well have not happened, right?
Mhm.
So
Right.
if there's a slow player and you don't say anything, they're going to be a slow player for the rest of the round and probably forever. But yeah, if somebody gives you a warning on that and says, hey, you're taking too long, then they would need to time you from the time that you address your lie until you throw. Like, they would need to time you and show, hey, look, man.
Does it need to be like when you're looking for a disc, you have to say, okay, I'm starting my timer? Does it have to be like that as well, where, okay, you're at your lie, I'm starting your 30 seconds? Do you have to?
I haven't seen this happen in this way before, where somebody has actually busted out a time on my card and has without telling the person.
Yeah.
I think they're usually pretty aware of it. But it would be, if you are the slow player, it would be worth asking, hey, when did you start that? Because if it's like the second that another player throws, well, that's not right.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think we talked about it before on the show. I was playing an event where we were looking for a disc, and someone said the timer was up, and someone said, when did you start the timer?
Yeah, you have to announce.
Yeah,
it.
you have to announce that.
And he said, as soon as we started walking off the tee pad.
That's not how this works.
I know. And the thing is that he assumed that it was lost because it did. I remember the throw was into some bushes. So I kind of looked at the person and said, that's not right. And they were like, I don't care. You know, they were frustrated already that their disc was lost. Unfortunately, after that person had thrown their disc, I actually saw the disc in the bush and said, "Oh, here it is."
Oh, cool, Bobby.
No, I wasn't hiding it.
Gamesmanship, Bob.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
He's just standing
I was-
directly on.
No, yeah, I moved my foot. Oh, there it is.
Pile of leaves that I scooped up on.
No, I was still looking for it as that person was setting up and throwing. But they had already called time. So
Yeah, if you're going to give someone an actual penalty stroke, you better the heck have like a timer that says 40 seconds or 45 seconds or something.
Wouldn't that, how would you feel? What if you, I wonder how that person feels if they're like, they call someone on taking more than 30 seconds and then the person says, okay, time me. And then all of a sudden you're timing it and you just, hey, this is Bobby back. So like I said at the beginning, we had to cut things off short at the end. So this is me making a new outro. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate all our listeners and all our watchers on YouTube. If you can, make sure you go out to iTunes and rate reviews. Don't rate us based off this episode, please. But please rate us based off other episodes as well. Make sure you download and subscribe to us on Spotify or your favorite podcast app, as we have all kinds of new content coming out. We have some more On the Call with Robert coming out. We have some quotes of our questions of the month from our touring players. And then, of course, our after show. All right, guys, thanks so much.